Hi, and good morning, class. I'm Evan.
And I'm Alberto. And today we're going to be presenting to you our Science and Their Discoveries project, which is on Isaac Newton.
Isaac Newton, he was a physicist, mathematician, and an astronomer. He was born in Woolsthorpe, near Lincolnshire, England. At the time, people still used the Julian calendar, which was a different calendar. So it was recorded that he was born on December 25th, Christmas, in 1642. But according to the Gregorian calendar, the modern day one we use today, he was born on January 4th, 1643.
Isaac Newton spent his childhood living with his grandmother because his father, Isaac Newton, died 3 weeks before he was born, and his mother, Hannah Isco, left him at the age of 3 to live with her new husband. When Newton was 11, his mother came back to take care of him due to the fact that his stepfather had passed away.
The following year, he left home to attend the King's School, which was a grammar school located in Grantham, Lincolnshire, which he came back from at the age of 17. At this point, his mother wanted him to take over the farm, but luckily Newton's uncle convinced her to let him go to Trinity College, a college which he attended in England in 1661.
Since Newton's family was poor, for the first 3 years he worked there by waiting tables and running errands for his wealthier classmates in order to make money and pay for the college until he was offered financial support. Newton graduated college in 1665, right before the school was shut down because of the Great Plague. The following years after his graduation are considered the prime for his age for inventions, in which he made 3 major discoveries.
During Newton's era, many believed that lead could be turned into gold with the science of alchemy. Newton was a believer and attempted to successfully perform this experiment. Along the way of experimenting with this, Newton was attempting to understand the mathematical procedure to do it.
While doing this, Newton accidentally created the basics of what would soon become infinitesimal calculus, a combination of both differential and integral calculus. Newton thought nothing of this new discovery and literally shoved the papers aside. Meanwhile, another scientist named Picard was trying to figure out how to accurately measure the circumference of the Earth.
Picard asked many scientists for help and was told to see Isaac Newton. When Picard asked Newton for help, Newton pulled out the papers that he had shoved aside. The papers helped Picard, and Newton realized that they were a new kind of math, calculus. He did not publish these papers until 1693, and by then another scientist, Leibniz, had also discovered it. There was controversy that lasted many years that Leibniz was accused many times of plagiarism, which we would never do, Miss Selecta.
In the end, Newton was credited of discovering, quote, generalized binomial theorem, Newton's identities, Newton's method, classified cubic plane, contributions to the theory of infinite differences, and employing coordinate geometry to derive solutions to Diophantine equations, unquote.
Newton's second and third earth-changing discovery was the law of motion and the universal gravitation. These 3 laws state, an object in motion continues in motion with the same speed in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. The second law is, the greater the mass of an object being accelerated, the greater the amount of force needed to accelerate the object. The third law is, for every action there is an opposite reaction.
Many of you know the apple incident in which an apple hit Newton's head, and then he found out that there was a force called gravity. Here is a reenactment of what many people believe. What really happened was that around 1665 he saw the apple fall off the tree in his garden. He already knew that gravity existed. It was the force that had accelerated the apple to fall to the ground, Newton's second law. But he began to question himself. What if the tree was twice as high, or even the tallest tree on Earth?
Gravity would pull down the apple to the ground regardless of the height of the tree and at the speed depending on the apple's mass. With the hypothesis, he wondered if gravity existed outside the Earth and if that was the reason why the moon orbited the Earth. He used the example of firing a cannon at the top of the Earth. With the right velocity, the cannon would begin to go in a straight line, but its direction will change because of the force of gravity.
It would continue to go straight, but at the same time would be pulled down to Earth, causing it to make an orbit around it. He assumed that this was happening to the moon. He came up with the laws of motion and universal gravitation, which states, quote, "Every particle of matter in the universe attracts every other particle, with the force which is dependent on their mass and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them," unquote.
What made his law of universal gravitation different from previous scientists was that theirs only applied to the Earth, whereas Newton's applied to the Earth and everything outside of it. In 1696, Newton was appointed warden in the Royal Mint of England. His job was to search for users of counterfeit money throughout the country and arrest them. He carried on this duty until his final years. He died on the 31st of March in 1727 in London at the age of 83. Most believe the cause of his death was because of the great amount of mercury inside his body, which would also explain his eccentric behavior in his later years.
Isaac Newton has become one of the most influential scientists in history. He has had a great impact on our society, even though 300 years have passed. By discovering calculus, he has given us the power to go above and beyond simple mathematics and be able to create structures like houses, roller coasters, buildings, stadiums, do medical research, and of course give headaches for students around the world. With the discovery of the 3 laws of motion and universal gravity, he has helped us to break down barriers, literally, and in scientific meaning, give us the knowledge to be able to send up satellites in space, rockets, people, helped us to understand and know the orbits of planets and moons. Newton's other discoveries, like the visible spectrum and creating one of the first modern reflecting telescopes, has helped us to understand how the universe was formed, more about stars, and giving us the power to look further than our eyes can see.
Thanks for listening to our presentation. I know it was kind of painful. Anything to add, Alberto?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.